Hey, what's going on, y'all? I want to welcome y'all back to another show, back to another episode of the Raw Report. And for today's guest, we got uh, a very distinguished gentleman. I'm talking about a pastor, a coach, 20 years in the game of being a pastor, helping people grow mentally, spiritually, professionally, just all around great, good guy. And I know he's going to be able to drop some jewels on you guys to help you guys move this thing forward. You know, we got to stay resilient against the world. So I'm out here trying to grab the best people I can to help you guys move forward with this thing. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to uh, Coach Todd, Pastor Todd. How you doing today, Coach Todd?
Man, Eric, I am doing wonderful, and I really appreciate you having me today. And I know you could have chose someone else, but you chose me, so I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I'm just looking forward to add any kind of insight or any help that I can be today. So that's what I'm here for, man. And thank you again.
No, bro, the honor is mine. Don't ever look. This platform is generally for to help people understand. There's a lot of us out here that's trying to help other people. So
Right.
honor is mine. So my first question I'll ask you is, looking back, was there a specific moment or experience that forced you to grow in ways you didn't expect?
Uh, yeah, throughout my years in church, I was forced into some spaces where I had to, lend a helping hand, and then especially, I would say the biggest moment, Eric, I would say is 2020 when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
Uh, the pastor that I had served under for all those years at the church, he decided to retire in February of 2020.
Oh
So
wow.
March of 2020, I'm the interim pastor, and the pandemic is full blown, and the church, the doors had to shut, and I mean, that was a moment right there. Yes, sir. If I had to pick one moment, it was that
Right.
one.
Oh, so I can go a million different ways on that. So how did you adjust to that? Because that was like a crazy time for everybody.
And I couldn't think about it too much. It's one of them things where you gotta react, when in the moment, because he said at the beginning of February that year, he said, "Well, I'm about to retire at the end of the month. Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I left out his office thinking like, "No, I'm not." And that was before the pandemic went all the way out. And so by that time, man, I just had to get things started. We didn't have a website. We didn't have an online presence. We didn't have none of that in at the end of February of 2020. So I went into March. We was able to stay open, I think, for like a month. And by the end of March, though, we had to shut the doors, and so I had to get to work. But I was already thinking about, a website and the internet and all of that. So I got with the deacon board, and we started making things happen. And got from the members of the congregation that knew how to do those type things, and we just started doing our best to put it together, and it came together slowly but surely.
What emotions was you wrestling with during that time? Because I'm sure that was like crazy. Because the pandemic was its own emotion, but then they gave you got to usher the church. I know you was wrestling with some deep things right then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fear was the
Yeah.
biggest thing, because not only was I being, fear of, I'm in a position I'd never been in. You can say you're ready for a position until you actually be get it.
Mm-hmm.
So once I finally got it, it's like, first I'm worried about making sure that I'm bringing quality messages every Sunday, every Wednesday for Bible study. All right. And then now I got this pandemic, and people done went home. Uh, so it was a lot of fear of failure. Then I had to worry about people's lives. So when I did decide to do something, I had to consider the fact, that I had people, who come out and risk exposure and, and all those type things. So it was a lot of fear. I didn't want to fail, but it was a lot of fear going on at that time. So all I could do was just trust God, with everything I did, and He's seen it through.
Hey, amen. Hey, we all got to lean on God. So that's number one.
Right.
So we know growth often begins with self awareness. So you was definitely self aware. What
Yeah.
was a belief or mindset that you once had that you had to unlearn to evolve?
Uh, I had to get out of my shell of one. I did so much stuff by myself,
Hmm.
right? I've been like that my whole life. I had to depend on, me and, me and my wife, of course, we did a lot of stuff, but a lot of time I felt like it was just me against the world. And even though I had been in the church all of those years, at that moment, I felt like I was by myself. So as I started, continuing, pray and ask God for things, He started giving me people, that could help me. And then I had to learn how to trust them to help me in that situation. Some of them are still there, and some of them have gone on before then and moved on to other church, and none of them have passed and nothing like that. But at that moment, I needed their help, and I was able to get them uh, to to help me. So it basically, I had to step up in a leadership role. You know what I'm saying? More of a leader than I had been. I hadn't been that kind of leader before. So now I was kind of thrust into the front where everybody, all of a sudden, everybody looking at me for everything. So that was a different hat. You know what I'm saying? And it's that saying that the heavy is the head, the wear the crown. And so I felt that hat. So
Can can you evolve? Well, can you elaborate on trusting people that you don't normally have to trust? That's a we all have to get through that. But if we don't get over our past hurt, we can block future blessings by not trusting. So how did you just I know it was God, but how did you just push on through with I gotta trust these people?
well, Eric, you just said it best. It was God. I had to trust God first. You know what I'm saying? And these were the people. They were the only people that was available.
Okay.
And they had a skill set that I didn't have. So it was like I can't do it. So I have to trust them to do it. So I just trusted God in that moment, and it all worked itself out.
I agree with you 100% on that because, like you said, yeah, we can't do it, but at the same time, culture has told us get it out the mud, do it by yourself, this, and that, and it ends up becoming a hindrance to us.
Yeah.
So, I look, I understand the push through it. That's why I want my audience to hear that you have to lean on God because if you try to do it by yourself, it just won't work. Um,
So,
Many people want to grow but struggle with consistency. How did you develop the discipline to make growth a daily practice?
uh, well, with the learning, we went through with the program with PD, and all the stuff we learned over there. I had to learn how to, to schedule my growth, and make sure that I had it on my schedule because they say, growth is intentional. You're not going to accidentally grow.
Correct.
But I always understood that, you know, physical growth has limitation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We only gonna grow so tall. We grow up and then we grow out or whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? Then eventually we grow gray hair. All that stuff is coming. It's always in our DNA. But when it comes to spiritual, mental, and emotional growth, there's always room to grow, no matter where you are in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I found myself, right, in my 50s, you know, having a desire to have a different career change. That's why I'm coaching now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Something that in my 40s, I had never thought about it. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, I can do this, and I believe and I know and I'm seeing the fruit of it now, even though I'm still climbing, I'm still reaching, I'm still growing, I'm still getting better. I can see and visualize that, man, if I just stay the course, there's no limit to, exactly what I can, obtain, as far as my emotional and spiritual growth, so that's where I am with that.
Well, I'll definitely tell you that we're very happy that you're out here coaching because this young generation need it. We need it. We need more coaches, people to help guide people in the right direction. So I'm glad that you're sticking with it because yes, you definitely can do it. You are doing it. Because being a pastor is not an easy thing. And then now being available for them to come to you for coaching is a huge thing. So I just want to give you flowers so you know that that's a huge thing. So thank you. Can you describe a daily habit or ritual that has the biggest impact on your mental, emotional, and spiritual growth?
Uh, Eric, being honest, it's my time with God. It's getting up, at 4 a.m. every morning, getting that quiet time before I start praying and spending that time with God, because at one time it was learn more, study more, learn more. And I still am. It's not that I'm not doing it, but what I was missing was that quality time with God
Mm.
that made everything better for me, and it made it kind of have a better flow to it. It was like I was learning all this stuff, but when you don't give God his space to work within you, now it seemed like some of the stuff I was doing, I was kind of forcing it out, rather than letting it flow out, from my heart, from what God had done, allowing it to take root in my heart, before I try to give it to somebody else is one of the things that I was missing at first, so I had to grow and learn that.
Oh, that's so good. And if you don't mind me asking, before you actually realized that you needed to give God that quality time or that quiet time, what was it like before you started that practice? What was your life like? What was the difference? What changes did you notice?
It seemed like life was a little bit more hectic. It felt like a little bit more weight. You know what I'm saying? When I started letting this, God get involved more in
Mm-hmm.
my heart, it felt like it was a weight that was lifted off of me. Like, so once I felt that, then I realized, okay, this is what I need to be doing. You know, so sometimes even now, even if I'm studying now, sometimes I had to push back from my desk and just get in that zone with God, and then get back in, or however the Spirit lead me at that moment. Whenever I feel the Spirit pulling me, I stop and spend time with Him. That's something I still practice, even when I'm at work. Because I'm still uh, a bifocal pastor. I still have a job.
Right.
So I have a job and I have a church.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever God pulled me in that moment at work, I just pull over and give Him that time.
I love that you said that because the peace that surpasses all understanding, that's what
Yeah,
that is. And it's like it's hard to explain it to people, but be like, man, you just gotta, if you know, you know. So when you say
yeah,
it, I'm sitting there like, yeah, I know, because I wouldn't change it for nothing. I told somebody earlier, um, I'm on the wall. I ain't coming down because I know what the other side is. I don't want that. I'm staying on the wall. So
yeah, yeah.
we often hear about the importance of doing the inner work. What does that actually look like in day to day life or in your day to day life of doing the inner work?
Seeing, trying to see God in everything that I do, and seeing that here's one of the inner workings I've learned and that's always blessed me is that I'm not too far from falling.
Mm,
No, on any given day. You know what I'm saying? Just knowing that any day I can trip and fall, but if I keep my hand in God's hand, I keep focus. You know what I'm saying, and keep my heart elevated, He'll
mm,
stop me from falling because sometimes just anything can happen. You just want to fall. You know what I'm saying? There's sometimes people make you want to fall, or life make you want to fall, but he keeps me. So uh, that inner work right there gives me that inner peace that I need. That inner focus. I always try to stay focused, understanding that if I stay focused on God, that everything else is gonna work itself out one way or another. Even when I don't see it. Faith is not about seeing. Faith is about believing. So
and
you'll see it later. Believe it now.
I love that you said that because um, a lot of us seem to think that by not we put everything before God, and then we want to pray at night, and you did all this wrong stuff. You should have
Right.
prayed in the morning and got your word in with God first. That's a different
Right.
story for another day. But are there any specific tools, journaling, meditation, therapy, that has been particularly transformative for you?
Meditation. I try to meditate almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently got into journaling. I actually didn't realize I would like journaling, but I actually do. So I hate that. Now I kind of get why I hate. I miss a day. Uh,
Right.
no journaling because you need to get that stuff out. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we hold those things in, and we need to get them out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what journaling has been for me. So I actually like it. Like I said, it was something I thought I would never do. I used to hear people say they were doing it. I'm like, I ain't doing no journaling. But now, with all this stuff going through my head and all these emotions and feelings and stuff, yeah, I'm like, give me my book. I need to write something.
And you know what's funny about that? I I didn't like it either, but I forgot where I heard it, but it was something that really touched me. That journaling, when you journal, you get your thoughts out your head, but it's something to pass on to your kids. Now they know what you was
Yeah.
thinking.
Right. Right. That's true.
So I try to
Uh,
tell my audience, journal for your kids. You're giving them a blueprint. Now they don't have to figure this stuff out again.
right.
So I love that you said that. What's a lesson you had to learn the hard way, and how did it change the way you approach personal growth now?
Uh, a lesson that I had to learn the hard way was about. I'm trying to see who I heard say this.
Hmm.
I want to say it was Craig Rochelle. He writes a lot about leaderships and books and stuff. And he said this. He said a leader has either what he's allowed or what he's created,
Ooh.
right? And I had a tough situation at the church, and I had to make some decisions because there was some stuff I was allowing, right?
Mm.
It was there when I was at the church, but I wasn't a pastor of the church, so this stuff, these people and certain stuff was already in place.
Hmm.
And so once I became the interim, or even once I became a pastor, especially this one, I really had to learn. I had been allowing a lot of stuff even when I was interim that bled over to my pastoralship. And I finally had to put my foot down. And I wish, now, let me be honest, I wish I would have handled it a little different, now,
Right.
but I wish I would have handled it sooner. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? I should have been. And so, like now, when stuff come up now, and I realize, hey, I'm not going to allow this. I go ahead and take care of the meeting, but I take care of it in a better way now because you learn, you live and you learn, as they say. You learn from, um, and not necessarily that I made a mistake, but I just learned I could have just done something different. Yeah.
How did you one first take? How did you take that at first to realize, like hearing that message? Who said that? It's something you allow, like, because that's almost we have a problem taking ownership. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I ain't allow that. But how did that hit you at first? When like, man, I am allowing that. How did that? How did you
It
respond to
hit me
that?
hard. It hit
What
me
you?
hard. I mean, it hit me right where I needed to be hit at. It hit me right there.
Mhm. Right.
And, like I said, I didn't set it up, but then once I became the pastor, I was still allowing it. So, uh, oh man, that was a tough lesson right there. And,
Hey, but I'm glad you was able to talk about it because we need
right.
to understand that sometimes for us, it's going to hit us. It's gonna hit you first.
Yeah.
I was always tell like when we helping people, a lot of times the messages be for us first, and people can't
Oh
accept
yeah.
that. They think we talking
Yeah.
just to them. I'm like, no, God's speaking through you for you to talk, listen to that message for yourself first, and they don't understand that it hits us differently. But that's the thing. Like I said, it's crazy. Um, Many people associate spiritual growth with peace, but sometimes it's deeply uncomfortable. Can you share a time when your spiritual journey challenged you the most?
Uh, well, kind of almost with that the situation I was just talking about. I was really challenged.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But change requires challenge. When you're going to change, it's going to be a challenge. You
Yes.
know, it's going to be some resistance, but you got to fight through. You know, any fear you might have, because like I said, that situation right there it just put me in a bad spot, and I had to really step back even after and work on me. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Because I still had to live with any decision that I made. You know. Because when you at the top, you get all the blame. You know what I'm saying? So I had to deal with all of that, and still, you know, as I've heard many pastors said before me, I still had to love the people regardless. That was saying, and I still had to lead them, even though I know someone were trying to, was involved in this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
So learning how to do that and to deal with them and still be who I am in Christ and not let that situation change me. See, that's something a lot of times people go through a situation, they let them change them for the worse. But
Mm-hmm.
I've started trying to learn how this stuff changed me for the better. It might have been some stuff in there I didn't like, but I'm gonna allow it to change me only for the better. It's not gonna make me worse. I'm gonna be better on the other side. And that's something declaration I done made for myself. that on the other side of this, I'm gonna be better.
Man, I love. I appreciate the vulnerability. I appreciate you even saying that you still growing now. See, a lot of people
Yeah.
think the growth stops at a certain age. It's like, no, we still growing. We got
Right,
work to do. But
right,
they think we always pointing the finger at them. Like, no, I'm growing too. I'm just a little bit ahead of you, so I can help you.
right.
Man, bro, hey, I appreciate it. Like, that's deep because I understand how you being a pastor, people think that from the outside looking in, they probably think that you've gotten it all. It's like, no, I'm learning too.
Yes, no, most certainly, most certainly. I mean, and just to know that where I am mentally now and emotionally, I look back over my past and be like, man, I wish I would have been here 15 years ago. Man, and I'm thinking like, how far could I be right now if I would have had this, 10, 15 years ago? But at the same time, when we look back, we can't go back and change. We can't go back and unring the bell. All that time is gone. And the thing of it is, you have to focus on now and your next. And when you do focus on your now and your next, then everything gonna be all right.
In God's time and in our time, I'm telling you now, it ain't the same thing.
No,
Yeah,
no.
well,
We're looking
well,
at our clock. We're looking at that TikTok. We're looking at that watch and all that stuff. But God deal with the fullness of time. He deal with I think the Greek word is kairos. He
yeah,
deals with that. He not worried about the chronos.
yeah.
That's us.
Right. When you get there, you'll get there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get it. Has your definition of spirituality changed over time? And if so, what was the evolution of it?
The evolution has it changed?
Like from just
Yeah,
say from like when you
but
first started in the church to now, because now you're passing all that. I'm sure it's grown, but
you're
what was
right. Uh, I guess what changed and where it's grown at is that my view at first was a limited view.
it?
You know what I'm saying? It was like, get saved, just be saved and go to church and pray and, always, all that stuff. And that was it. Everything was church, church, church.
Yeah.
But now I have a greater view and realize that the word of God is not just for me at church. The word of
Mm,
God for me everywhere I want to go. And I should apply it. And if I continue to, always walk in his glory, you know what I'm saying, in everything I do, that he'll bless me beyond the church walls,
hmm
and that gives me a greater reach and a greater influence. And I'm just trying to always make sure the influence that I'm putting out there, no matter where I am, if I'm at my job or wherever it may be, it's an influence. I want people to see the God in me, just knowing, just even like in the program that we went through, that I could be that.
hmm
I would have never thought I could be that, you know. But even now, watch this. I talk to believers now, and I start talking to them about some of the stuff, and I can see it's like they like where I used to be, and
Right.
I'm like, okay, okay. So I learned to talk to them a little different. That's why being in a space like this, or being in a space like talking to people who have a greater insight of what God has given us,
hmm
called us to do. Having that insight is changed everything for me. So it helped me involve. I guess getting into the program, I would have to say, dealing with the Daniels Den and and all that type stuff, it helped me involved because hey, when I first okay, let me speak to Dr. Darius for
Go
speak
for
about
it.
him just for a moment.
No, yeah.
When
This
I
the
first
real.
heard him preach, it was like I had a Baptist church, so when I first heard him preach, he was doing that summer jam series. I don't know if you remember that a few summers back, and I was like, can you do this at church? You know what I'm saying? That's where I was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's where I was when I first heard it. But I liked it, but I was just like, can you do it? So and that kind of got my attention. I started listening, and the first time I did one of his events, and he started talking about coaching, and different stuff like that, I was totally lost. I mean, after I was so far out there, I almost stopped listening to him preach. You know what I'm saying? That's how far I was. Confused I was. I'm serious. I'm just being real.
Right, no, I got you. I love it.
Yeah. And so I was like, nah, I don't know if I can do him, man. So but I hung around because I liked his preaching. I
hmm
did. I always liked his preaching. So I hung around, and eventually uh stuff started to make sense.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? When it even came down to the coaching space, it started making sense. And once it started making sense, I started realizing, you know what, I can do that. And he made me believe it, and I still believe it right now. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. Investing in myself so I can be better, so I can help somebody else because I've already I'm already helping people right now that uh, I thought I'd never help. So but that's what I'm doing right now. So God, to God be the glory.
I 100% agree. Without PD and the coaching program and everything we went through, the Raw report wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sitting here interviewing you or anybody else that I interview to give to the people to help them, let them know that it's a lot of us out here trying to help you guys. Because
Right,
whether, see, we see it as small stuff, but this information that we're talking about right now, even if it catch one person, two people, we've did our work. And
yep,
I had to learn that. And I'm like, nobody want to hear nothing from me. So I appreciate 100%. Same thing. It wasn't making sense for me neither. But he helped get me out of my way. And I'm not no pastor. But he said gap ministry. Be able to help the people where you are. That's what
right,
I'm, because my spirituality is with God too. So I'm 100% in agreement with you, like I said. And then when you said that about the church, like you can't do that, everything evolves.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
in the black community with churches, and it's just my opinion. I'm not saying this is your opinion, but a lot of people, they expect the church to still stay the same as it was in the 70s.
exactly,
This
yeah,
is a new generation. You got to deal with these kids differently.
yeah, yeah,
They hear something different.
yeah, yeah. And God said he the God of all generations. You know what I'm saying? So he the God of this generation too, despite of what, some of the, the older generation might think of him. He says, I'm the God of all generations. So I look at it like this, and matter of fact, here's something that I probably should have shared a few minutes ago. The way I see it
Hmm.
when I came in as the pastor was like technology, right? So we didn't have a social media, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have all that stuff. We should have been had it because people was already doing it. But my pastor was older, he went into all that stuff. And the way we ran service was still kind of, more older, traditional a little bit. And when I came in, one of my challenges was to kind of change some of that because like I explained to them, is like church in a lot of ways is like technology,
Hmm.
right? I can remember being in junior high when computers first came out. And,
I do
it
too.
was just like playing games. That's all I knew about a computer is playing games. But, slowly but surely, computers started to be in everything,
Yes.
you know. So even now, if you don't have a little computer skills, you're going to get left behind.
If you ain't already left behind.
Right. So I looked at church in the same way. If you don't change some with the way churches are changing, you're going to get left behind.
Yes, sir. I agree.
And that's why I think some churches are not making it, not closing. They only got a few members here and there because they just refuse to change. They still doing everything the same way they've done it. And it's not that you had to get outside of the will of God to be doing anything crazy. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? But you still want God to be involved in it. But at the same time, you have to do some kind of changing in order to stay relevant. I guess that might be the better word I might need to say.
But the word is the word.
Yeah.
You still teaching the word. You just changing it for it because like evolve. Everything has to evolve. If you keep staying the same way and everybody else is evolving, like you said, you're going to get left behind. And it's so obvious that a lot of the old, and don't get me wrong, I know a lot of the older generation, that's the way that they was taught, so they hanging on it. But at the same
Right.
time, this world is moving so fast. These kids are on a constant negative loop with the
Right.
internet, the social media.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
if that's where they at, that's where we need to be at.
Yeah.
We gotta get some. We gotta put some positivity in that negative loop.
Right.
That's just my opinion, but yeah.
No,
So
I totally agree.
okay, I'm just saying because it's
Yeah.
hard. You got to think. We grew up. Don't get me wrong. It was hard times in the '90s and all that. We was did all, but our mind wasn't on a negative loop. We had a lot of good days. Inside of those might be a negative day, a couple days, but then you have a lot of good days. Social media has these kids' minds on a negative loop all day, every day. All you see is, and then I had to tell a kid a couple weeks back. He was telling me about all this they showing on social media. I said, but when you walk out your door, is that the same thing you see? It's like, no. I said, so why are you so focused on what's on your phone? Because outside the door, it's just regular living going on.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
to me, I don't know if you agree. Do you agree with this that these kids actually have it worse than we did?
Uh, I say that, well, in some aspects, yes, sir.
Okay.
When it comes down to that social media, because 24/7. You know what I'm saying? When we was in school, you went to school, you got into it with somebody or had some word exchange. You got off your school bus, and if you didn't get into a tussle, you went home and you went to see them. You see them again the next day. But now, they go home and they on their phone, and so all the same old stuff is just they constantly connected to it, and they never, get away from it. They don't know how to, social media got them in such a way they don't put their phones down, and enjoy or experience the real world. That you
Yes,
were
sir.
just saying, when you go outside, this is the real world out here, you know. So they get caught up in that social media world because guess what? You can be whoever you want to be on social media.
Oh my goodness, you just tapped into it right there. Whoever
Yeah,
you want to be, knowing that ain't who you is. But
yeah. It's just a snapshot. Just think about it. Somebody take a picture of themselves doing good because we've seen it. Matter of fact, my younger son pointed it out to me one time. Some young lady we knew, she took this picture, and every time she take pictures, she was, having a good time, this and that. But he said, "Man, I know her." He said her life is Jackson. you know,
ah, but
you know. So
it's a
yeah,
highlight. It's a highlight reel,
right,
and
right.
everybody's
So
showing a highlight reel, but real life don't move like a highlight reel. Like
right,
we all going through something, whether we say it or not. We all going through something.
yeah. You can't always be on vacation. Why every time I see you, you're on vacation? Your life ain't a vacation. You can't be on vacation every time I see
Especially not for black folks. Let's just be honest
you.
about it.
Yeah,
Okay, so personal growth can be isolating, especially when those around us aren't on the same journey.
Mhm.
Have you? How have you navigated the relationships that felt misaligned with your growth?
Set up boundaries. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? You got to set up boundaries. I mean, you got to understand that everybody just not they're not where you at. They're not trying to go where you're trying to go. So ain't no sense of you trying to take them with you. When they don't want to go, you can't carry them. I can't carry you to where I'm trying to go. So either we going the same way or we're not. So I have boundaries. And then you got to be really selective uh, with your inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can have them other people that are friends or what have you, but your inner circle has to be those who are pouring into you just as much as you're pouring into them. You
That's
know what I'm
good.
saying? Because you get tired of pouring into people all the time, they never pour into you.
And leave
You
you
know what
in.
I'm saying? So yeah, so you gotta have a boundary where where you keep them at. It's not it is what it is. If they decide that they don't like the boundary and they want to don't want to be a part, and I understand that too. But I'm not going to not had a boundary up there so you can continue to get closer and closer to me, like that, and you always just taking, because I'm human.
Right.
I got my weaknesses just like everybody else. And, in order for me to keep my sanity and keep my integrity, sometimes I need that boundary right there, so I can continue to be who God called me to be.
Coach Todd, I am so thankful you came on here today because what you're saying, I guarantee you a lot of preachers would love to say what you're saying. You're human. And
Yeah,
a lot of us, the congregation, don't see preachers as human. And I hope they get the chance to listen at this podcast to understand it. Pure preachers are human too. You can't just treat them any old kind of way and expect them to keep turning the other cheek.
right.
That's what the Bible say, but it's hard. So watch how you treating your preachers is all I'm saying.
Right.
When emotions like fear, doubt, or comparison, which we talked about earlier, creep in, how do you shift your mindset and realign with your path?
Man, sometimes you just have to. For me, sometimes I had to just take a moment to step back. You know what I'm saying? I need that moment of quietness to just reflect and get myself back together. Uh, I come from under the pressure of feeling like I always got to answer something right now.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Always got to do it right now. There are some situations when you do have to do something right then, or you do have to have an answer right then. And then you can just only make the best decision that you possibly can, considering all the facts. I try never to make a decision based on my feelings. I try to make a decision always based on the facts, you know. Uh, but, like I said, I still have to have the moments when I just get quiet sometimes. It's not. because I don't have all the answers. Back to I'm not human. I don't have all the answers, so I need to spend some time and reflect and talk to God and see which way He's leading me, so I know which way I need to lean. So I don't want to lean in the wrong direction. Because I lean in the wrong direction, I'm a fall. But if I lean in His direction, He gonna catch me. So that's the way I always see it. Yeah,
I love the fact that you said that because I tell people all the time. Sometimes you got to step back to move forward.
yeah,
It's not a setback. You're stepping
yeah.
back because if you hit a wall and you step back, if you step to the right or to the left, you can keep going. But
That's
you can
right.
only way you're going to see that is by stepping back. So I'm glad that you said that because that's to me that's instrumental because a lot of people think just keep going your head. Yeah, but if you step back, you can see the lay of the land better. So I agree with you 100%. What are what's an area of your life you're still actively working on growing in, and how are you approaching it differently this time around?
Uh, an area of my life that I'm actually growing in right now. What my focus is for 2025. My word for this year is discipline.
Okay.
And it's not that I don't have discipline. I have a lot of discipline, but I don't have all the discipline that I need in order to move forward.
Mm.
So, what I've been doing is just setting up short goals, right? To obtain short goals with a bigger goal in mind, of that discipline that I need. So, but in order, you can't always get to the big goal first. Sometimes you got to start with the smaller goals. So I've set some goals. I've been marking them off and, coaching myself, basically through these goals, setting dates. And, I want to have this done by this day. I want to have this done by that day. So I can, because they're measurable. I know I'm getting it done, so uh, just doing that, man. That's so disciplined. More discipline. Everybody say you got plenty of discipline. Yeah, but I can get some more. You know.
But like I said, your vulnerability for coming on here saying these things, they need to hear that. Like you said, you have discipline, but I can get more. Like
Right.
it's like we're always searching for more, and I love that because, like, even when you said that, that hit me hard because I feel like I'm disciplined, but I want more. Now I got to go
Right.
back to my lab and go try to figure out how I can get more discipline. So
Yeah.
thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so um, I'm a, if you don't mind, I'm gonna do some rapid fire questions with you. So
Okay.
first thing come to your mind, and it don't have to be one word answer, but first thing come to your mind as I do these questions.
Okay.
Are you good with that? Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm on your show. We're gonna
No,
do
no,
it your
no.
way.
It's not that. It's not that. Hey, look, I just want to try to give the people what they want. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received is boy, that kind of, man, you made me go back like 30 years to
It don't
post some
matter.
stuff
Hey,
that
good
you did.
advice is good advice. It can
It's,
still be used 30 years right now.
it's about being prepared. You
Mm,
know, preparation, whether it's no matter what it is, you got to be prepared. Whatever you are involved in, like if it's church, if it's your job, if it's you got to make a parenting decision. You know what I'm saying? The better prepared you are, the better decision that you can make. You know what I'm saying? So preparation is probably one of the best uh, forms of advice that I ever received.
I look, I know this supposed to be rapid fire questions, but I got to piggyback on that one. I remember all for preparation what you said. I remember my grandma and my mama used to always tell me, "Don't never show up nowhere without your mind showing up there first."
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
So,
one.
like literally, if you show up
Hmm.
somewhere and you ain't thought about what's going on,
Right,
you in a bad position. So preparedness. So
right. Yeah.
I like that you said that. That's a good one. If you had to describe your journey in one song, what would it be?
One song. You said song or song? What did you say?
Song, like a song.
One song. Oh, okay. Man, one song.
You can give me a couple. You can give me a couple if it's just like that. But I'm glad I'm making you think. That tells me the
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, you making me think about it, man, because it's been challenging. I guess so. I'm trying to figure a song, because that's the word that come to mind when you said it. Challenging. So I'm trying to think of a song that goes with that.
See, look,
Man,
it sounds like we got similar paths, though. You're a preacher, but I'll tell you what mine is.
yeah, yeah, and,
Rap
and, and it's
grace.
hard because when you don't hear songs about challenging that much. Even And here's my biggest problem. I don't listen to music as much as I used to,
Okay.
so songs don't just pop in my head like that no more. Certain songs will, but that might be for the wrong moment. But never mind. Nevertheless,
But see,
uh,
like I said, mine, I was just listening at your story and everything we've been talking about. When you said challenging, one of mine, when I'm reading this question, it comes to restoration by the Winans. Restoration has finally come because it's been challenging.
mm,
So, like you
right.
said, to get the message in the PD and showing me things that I can do to help in my way, that helped me a lot.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, in that regard, the song "Grateful"
Mm-hmm.
uh, comes to mind because when I look at all the challenges and all the things I've been through, one of my things is gratefulness. Because I keep thanking the Lord because I keep realizing, man, there's so many things that could have went wrong and should have went wrong.
Yeah,
When I didn't have and couldn't have, and yet He seen me through. So gratefulness. If I had to pick one song, probably be one of the ones right there.
I love it. I love it. What's a spiritual or personal growth book that changed the way you see the world?
Boundaries is one of them by Doctor. I got his name in my head. Henry Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. Uh, that definitely changed a lot of in me with that, because I needed the boundaries. When I started reading it, I definitely needed them boundaries so bad. He has a couple of books that I love. Necessary Endings. When you
That's a
start
good
talking about that pruning, oh my goodness, that right there,
That'll open you
that
up
right
right
there, man.
there.
I got some pruning I'm doing right now because of that. So I'm serious, man.
Yeah, that's a big book.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yes,
Uh,
sir.
what's one thing you used to believe about yourself that you no longer do?
I couldn't do it.
Mm.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. At one time, I thought I couldn't, but I know I can. And let me say this, if I can, real quick.
You say, hey, this is the Raw Report.
You
Please say it.
you never know where your encouragement might come from.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it comes from an unexpected place.
Yes.
I have my younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna tell you his whole life history, but he said something to me even when I was waiting when I was in my internship to be the pastor. And he said this because I was to the point I'm like, hey, I'm good. They can, if they don't want me, they let me go, this and that. I'm there, I'm up in my feelings at the moment. You know what
Right,
I'm
right,
saying?
right,
So
right.
uh but he said, well, I don't know why they wouldn't want you because I ain't never known you to fail at anything in your life.
Mm.
And that right there, Daddy gave me some great encouragement right there that he seen something that I didn't even see in myself because it had me thinking and had me look back at my life and I was like, yeah, of course I had some failures. Don't get me
Right,
wrong, I failed sometimes, but a failure, you know what I'm saying? A failing is I can fail for a moment. That doesn't make me a failure.
right.
And what he was basically saying that he never seen me fail at anything that I really put my hands to. You know what I'm saying? So that really encouraged me in that very moment. So
No,
yeah.
that's good stuff. Like you said. So that go back to what we were saying about PD and putting us through this class. That's why I do this Raw Report because no matter whoever I'm talking to, somebody might pick up some encouragement from something we've talked about.
Right.
So I'm just trying to play my part. So I'm glad you said that. If you could send a message to your future self, what would you say?
You can do more.
To your future self?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, that's good. You can do more.
Still do more.
Okay, no matter where. So, oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That goes back to what we've been talking about, growth.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
other words, if you ain't growing, you're doing the opposite. We
You
growing.
got no. Yeah. You
That's
done. You done.
my point. You gave up. We not
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
up. So no matter what,
Yeah.
you
I'm
can
not.
do.
I'm not giving up. If all I have is some wisdom to pass on at
Yes,
that
sir.
time, I
Yes,
want
sir.
to I want to be passing that on somewhere.
You can do more. I love that. And that's actually a great word right there. You can do more. So do this final reflection, and then we go have people let people know where they can find you. If someone listening feels lost or stuck in their growth, what's the first step you'd encourage them to take today?
If they feel lost or stuck in their growth.
What's
Uh,
what's the first step
well,
you would encourage them to take today?
today, I would say they need to make a decision to be unstuck. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? Because until they make that decision to be unstuck, can't nobody help them. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gonna be able to help you until you make that decision that you no longer want to be there. And when you make that decision that you no longer want to be there, then you can start finding ways to get further along. You know what I'm saying? But that's a decision you first got to make. Do you want to stay there?
right.
You know, if you don't want to stay there, then do something about it. They used to say it's a mighty poor dog that won't wag his own tail. They used to say that around here. So, I mean, if you won't do it, then who you expect to do it for you?
If you tell yourself you can, you can. If you say you can't,
Yeah,
you won't. So it's
yeah.
up to
Power
you.
in words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 100%. What's one truth about growth that took you the longest to accept?
I would say that if I'm that basically to get back to what I was just saying about being stuck, that if I'm not growing, it's my fault. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
yes, I
It's my
agree.
fault I'm not growing. It's not nobody else's fault. I know we like to blame other people and say, stuff that happened in our past. I understand that, stuff that happened when I was a kid, I'm 50 plus years now. So why I'm still talking about what happened when I was a kid. So it's on me now. Once you know better, you can do better.
Yes, sir. And like he said, it's at the end of the day, it's on you. We can't do it. We can
Right.
give you the information. We can lead you to water. We cannot make you drink it.
Right.
So, Coach Todd, I thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the vulnerability you brought to the Raw Report today. And I'm telling you now, I'm I'm definitely going to want to have you back on this show because we're going to have to keep talking because these folks, hopefully, they go get the jewels that you've been dropping on them.
Right.
So I just wanted to just let you know that. And if you don't mind, let the people know where can the people connect with you? Where can they continue to learn and follow your journey?
Well, right now, I'm in a process of working out get my own website and things like that. I don't have all that up and running
Okay.
yet. Really, at the end of the day, let me see. Do I got some on Facebook? I got my wife and them working on my Facebook page, so that's the part of social media. I ain't hooked up. I don't know how to do all that stuff yet, but I'm on there. And my wife wants me to start putting more stuff on there, so I'm about to start doing that. That's the help I've been receiving. Uh, And I would like to give you a particular website or something, but I'm being honest right now, Eric, I really don't have one. But if anybody have a question for me, I can give them a email address that they can reach me at. If they want to have a question, they want to connect, they want to be coached, or if they just have a question,
Okay. What is it?
they can reach me at Todd, my last name Todd, Jeff, my first name Jeff 60 at Gmail.
Okay. So,
Todd Jeff 60 at Gmail.
like I said, that's why so while you working on all that, when you get all that back, let me know so we can get you back on here so we can get to
Yeah.
people your stuff because that's the whole point. We gotta help be
Right.
helpers to one another. So,
Right. Most certainly. Most
okay.
certainly. Now I'll certainly stay in touch with you. I'm gonna be following you. I'm gonna be checking it out.
Okay.
Golly, I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day. I got to get signed in though. I think that's what kind of hung me up. I was at work and I was listening to it. Then it stopped and made me want to sign in. So I got to get signed in. But it was God, he was talking about something interesting. I think it was change. I think he was talking about change.
Okay.
So your report on that. So I want to go back and definitely check that out and see what the rest of them about. But I'm gonna definitely be following you, brother. I appreciate this opportunity. Uh, you kept your word. That's all we got. Sometimes our word, right? You told me you was gonna call me, you gonna
Yeah.
hook up with me, and hey, I didn't have any doubt. But
Right.
I'm just giving you a flower. You know what I'm
Right. But
saying?
like
You're a
you
man of
said,
your word.
that's what we do though. We went through the program. We gonna do what we do. But
Yeah.
look, what I want to tell y'all, I appreciate y'all for coming to the show. Y'all already know what I like to say. Stay real, stay raw, stay grounded in your faith, and walk boldly in your purpose. Till the next time, y'all, I'm out.